Thank you. Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Administrator Zeldin, good to see you again, and thank you for taking the time to come out to Arizona a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago now, and appreciate the partnership with your team. And, just thank you for working to improve Arizona's air quality and support our continued economic growth. As you heard during your visit, we need EPA to work with Maricopa County to provide new ways to generate emissions reduction credits. Later today, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is expected to vote to submit to EPA the final version of Rule 205 for final approval. We talked about these two rules, Rule 205, and I'll get to 204 in a second. And while I know that you can't prejudge a regulatory decision, will you commit to having Region 9 process this application as quickly as possible?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. And we've heard that it could take as long as 6 months for the regional office to conduct this review. You think there's any way to do this faster than 6 months?
We will do it as fast as we possibly can.
And the second rule, Rule 204, should be completed and submitted for final approval by the county sometime this summer. And once Rule 205 is completed, could I get a commitment to quickly work on Rule 204 as well?
Absolutely, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Now, another item we discussed during your visit was the need to understand the root cause of the ozone pollution that forms in the Phoenix area. As we discussed, we've got emissions have gone down and ozone has gone up. So, and specifically, nitrogen oxides and the volatile organic compounds, ozone rising with the other, the increasing VOCs and NOx. So that means that we need scientific tools and models to help us understand what's going on here. We haven't figured it out, and we need help with this. And we've developed a partnership between the state, between Maricopa County, ASU, University of Arizona, and EPA called a Ground Level Ozone Research Project. But the EPA researchers who support this work are within EPA's Office of Research and Development. ORD is a congressionally mandated entity established to operate independently and without political bias. To maintain its objectivity, it remains separate from the agency's regional offices and other components. The President's budget proposes a 56% cut to ORD. From what we can figure, that will likely slash 75% of its staff. Remaining employees would reportedly be reassigned to offices they were meant to stay independent from, exposing its scientists to undue political and institutional pressure. So, Mr. Zeldin, I can only imagine that ORD facilitates dozens of similar partnerships like ours. So tell me, how can the EPA produce unbiased science and data, including data that we desperately need in Arizona, if you fire most of the scientists at the EPA's Office of Research and Development?
Senator, the reorg that was announced a couple of weeks ago increases the science and research effort inside of numerous program offices at EPA. I want the scientists to be able to do the science and there not be any change from what the natural conclusions are of their good work. We have
so does that mean that ORD is not going to lose any scientists?
Well, Senator, the reorganization, it creates, we have scientists inside of the Office of Research and Development applying for all sorts of positions inside of the agency. We're creating a new Office of State Air Partnerships, but inside of the Office of Air and Radiation, as a product of having communications with states to advance cooperative federalism. We inherited a big backlog on state implementation plans, and to help a state like Arizona to be able to come into compliance. So scientists who might be in the Office of Research and Development might be in the State Office of Air Partnerships, in the Office of Air and Radiation. I want them to be doing amazing work that you and your constituents are entirely proud of. And we're also creating an Office of Applied Science and Environmental Solutions, which will include a lot of scientists who are currently inside the Office of Research
Do you
and
have
Development.
concern about their independence and their ability to do unbiased science if they're commingled with people that are working on policies?
Not at all. I do not want there to be any biased science anywhere inside of this agency, ever. Leaning one way or the other. We just want the scientists to be able to do the science, to get good research, good data, to fulfill all statutory obligations and allow us to do a great responsive job for your constituents. So when you, Senator Kelly, gave us a very long list of to-do items, if confirmed, we've been very proud to be able to work with your office and your constituents to get through that list as quickly as possible.
And I appreciate that.
And getting rid of the 179B guidance with the international ozone, that was one of the asks. And working to get the permit done on TSMC. You had a long list.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you have a long list. And I want you to get us the next list.
Okay.
I want you to tell us what are 20 things the EPA can do to help Arizona. I want to do all of it.
Well, as somebody who's always been driven by science and data, I get concerned when I see 75% cuts in an organization that has a lot of scientists. What you're telling me is these scientists are probably going to some other group within EPA to continue to do this important work. And I look forward to seeing the results, especially on our issue with rising ozone when emissions have actually been going down. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.